But I'm bringing forward this MCV, and about now I should be stopping it. And look, I'm attacking here, and I'm thinking, should I destroy the con yard? And now that, for some reason, it wouldn't deploy and then move forward a little bit, and I couldn't quite get it away in time.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game. We're on Timian map for this one. I'm using Russia. My opponent's using England for this game. I'm in red in the bottom right. My opponent's got this light green colour and they're in the top left. This is my first game of the day. I've not had a game for a couple of days. So I thought I'd put my first couple of games on. I had a game against this player and then we had a rematch. So I'll post both games and make that my most recent post. So my opponent's sending riflemen straight out and it looks like he's going for both oil derricks. Now I've trained an engineer first. And my first 3 rifles are going for my opponent's oil derrick, just in case they're sending a vulnerable engineer. But I only usually now I send 1 rifleman straight to the enemy oil derrick and see if there is an enemy presence there. If there is, I try not to sacrifice the other couple of riflemen with it and then go around to try and catch the engineer as he's approaching. Because all it needs is a couple of riflemen and these guys can't get past them. You see, they'll get taken out straight away. You only need a couple of rifles. So I'm sending these guys straight around. My opponent can't see them. Obviously, he doesn't know they're there. And I don't know my opponent's here either. No, I do now because he's killed 2 of these rifles. Sorry, that's why I've bunched them up here to guard the engineer. And I'm approaching... You know, not one at a time, but here we go. This rifleman's reached around the back. And I discovered the medic. Couldn't get anyone in time. Now my opponent, there's their engineer. Now I've cleared my oil derrick out, got rid of them, so I can capture it. But I'm wary of enemy rifles around, look. Got my engineer fairly well guarded there. Now my opponent, this area's still not guarded. So, you know, I should maybe have delayed a little with my 2 rifles that went round the back. Or even taken a wider angle round here to catch the engineer as he moves past. So I'm going to remember in future, it's often your opponent's engineer is going between this oil derrick and this one. From here to here. So that's the angle he moves at. So I need to make sure I've got a rifleman here in future. Now my opponent's sending the engineer down this way. I'm guessing he's going to stay somewhere hidden. And I heard that machine gunner and wondered what it was. But you can't capture that one, mate. It's a husk. I wondered what they were shooting at. And I did hear the fence break. But no, mate. Yeah, you're not getting anything out of that. Yeah, more than a 13-second repair job needed for that one. But we've got a 5 grand army value each. My opponent's slightly ahead, in fact, and our forces are engaging our early armies, and my vehicle is out of place. Now, my opponent doesn't have a vehicle, so I only need a few rifles to survive while it's there, look. But I thought, oh dear, I'm in trouble here. And I was, but my opponent decided to back away. And I guess they're hunting for my APC. Now, look how much health I've got left. Very little. Anyone pursuing? Yes, the ranger's pursuing. And he's gone. So I've got my repair bay. I need this repairing, but I'm bringing all my infantry, look, in case my opponent's pursuing me. So I'm grouping my infantry together. I thought I was in a very vulnerable position here. And my opponent's got this little group of units here, and I know they've got a scout vehicle intact, but you know, we're equal for army value. My opponent's very slightly ahead now, but he's got his ranger, and they're on the move. But I've got 4 rifles here. Look, so they're gonna get trimmed. I'm training grenadiers. Now I've got my APC repaired. And my opponent's cleared away this oil derrick, all my guards, but they haven't dropped off the engineer to capture it, though. That's interesting. I thought they would go for that, if that's what they were doing, clearing away the rifle guards. But he's on a proper scouting mission. He shot... That was a civilian, I could be wrong. Not paying full attention. But I'm moving out with my second MCV, my expansion. I'm on the standard build order, and I saw this and thought, right, my opponent can see a lot there, but I'm going to destroy it at least. And I think he still had his engineer in there. Yep, no engineer anymore for my opponent, no vehicles. They have got a proper build order going, though. They're building correctly, which is why their army value matched me for so long at the start. And he's doing well. They've destroyed... I've destroyed 4,500 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent's destroyed 3,300, so... You know, for the early game, we've been doing a little bit of engagement, a few engagements. My opponent's got a mechanic. That's too early. Now, they're about 500. That's too early for training those units that are that expensive. You'll struggle to get value from them. If you can destroy an enemy tank and capture it, great. Here's my grenadier drop. Now my opponent has placed the camo pillbox straight away. It was ready, but it's not being microed. Now that means the APC can take all the hits. And my opponent's already in low power because of the first power plant I destroyed. So now I've moved around the camo pillbox and I can destroy this. Now all my opponent's got to defend is a few technicians and this rifleman. Now I shouldn't have backed off. I should have stayed in a screening position for longer because that could hold all these for ages, but you know, I backed off and it exposed my grenadiers, but my opponent's in low power condition. They've spent credits on these mechanics. That'll cost them. So early in the game, I'd defy them to get any use out of them before I destroy them. So, let's have a look. My opponent's recovered the power. Very nice. Didn't put him in low power for long. But my army value has taken off a lot, and my APC on its way back ran straight into the enemy, but it was worth it because I saw this small force and thought, right, I'll destroy them. And that takes out a chunk of my opponent's army, very few losses, and leaves him at a big disadvantage. And he already had a smaller army value, so this is a killing blow because my opponent left these units in the wrong place. He was probably scouting for an expansion and left those units too far up front. And that was the site of our last engagement. Perhaps that's why he left them there. But, you know, and I'm moving this army forward. I know the area is clear for an expansion. Now, I'm here, but I placed a second ore refinery just to keep my income increasing while I move forward here and build another refinery. My opponent's brought this forward. Base defences. He's making a good stand. He's got a turret, camo pillbox, infantry production, base defence, like build radius. It's got all the elements, just not enough mass to stop me. And that's why sometimes you continue the attack, and if it looks like it's going okay, continue. But you need to be ready to back off at an instant notice if it looks like you're falling into a trap. And there's my MCV. And I had a feeling my opponent moved that way rather than this way with their MCV. I just had a feeling. Let's see if any of my units check. Yeah, look. See, I knew it. I had a feeling there that my opponent had done that. So there's a game sense for you. You just start to get a feeling, and then I thought, nah, so what if he has? That's what I ended up thinking, but there's proof. I did think that, and I was aware on some level that he'd gone here. So it shows my game sense, even after a couple of days without playing. My game sense is still on form. So there you go, my opponent's called it there. It was a brief one, but plenty of action for a brief game. And look at that, my opponent was ahead in army value. And then we've both suffered losses in that first engagement, but at the 5-minute point, we diverge. And my opponent was still increasing in army size, just not enough. Mine skyrocketed. So as soon as I got to that 17,000 army value and they were trailing behind, that was the moment. It was done. And then catching that small engagement, it was a death blow for my opponent. That you know, it's easy to make that mistake, but lose a chunk of your army like that. And he had a couple of tanks soon after. So they would have made all the difference, but, you know, it happens. So there's the army graph for you anyway. There's the earnings graph. And I was ahead at this point early on. And then my opponent took off slightly ahead of me in earnings. That's good. So I did okay there. Lucky I did finish them when I did, because they may have been a problem to continue. They may have had mass and I could have made a mistake and overcommitted or something. But there's my army. 4 heavy tanks, 4 flamethrowers, basic amount of infantry. Combat graph, it's 19,000 army value I've got. And my opponent lost 7 structures. I killed 116 units, my opponent killed 72, I destroyed 28,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets, my opponent destroyed 14,000 credits worth of my assets, too early for support powers, and I'm building a second war factory, and defences, basic units. Here's the economy. I've still got 2 oil derricks, this one and this one. I guess I didn't take that. Actually, at one point I ordered my engineer to capture that, but it was killed. And when I checked to see if it was capturing it, there was no sign of my engineer. So whatever happened to him, I'm sure it will show it in the video. So I'll have a look myself, see what happened to the poor guy. I know it was reckless sending him to capture this, but I did have an attack going on at the same time. So there'll be a reason. Maybe I selected all units and told them to attack in a certain place and so removed his escort or something like that, you know. But we've both got some cash left each, and I was at 32 actions per minute. My opponent was at 31 actions per minute. There's our scores, stats, graphs and tabs, everything for you. So I hope you enjoyed that one. And my opponent asked for a rematch. There we go, look, yeah, my opponent asked for a rematch. I agreed. So we'll go to the rematch for you, and I'll show you that one straight away. So here we go. And on this second 1v1 game, we're on Trask map. And we've got the same factions again. I'm using Russia and my opponent's using England, so it's obviously their faction. And I'm at the bottom centre in red, and my opponent, using England in light green, is at the top centre here. So this map, I have a different to usual build pattern, because normally I'd place my 2 refineries in a war factory here because it's such a large patch of ore. But I use my war factory for build reach, so my 3rd refinery can be placed at the gem patch. So I have a specific build pattern for this. Now my first rifleman is escorting the engineer. That's nice and close to your base, this oil derrick, and some players that don't know the map well actually don't notice that. I don't notice that one sometimes. If your opponent looks like they're not sure of the map, then maybe point that one out to them. But we've got a hospital in the centre. My opponent's going straight for that. Now that is a good idea, because the view range you get from a hospital, any enemy units moving across the middle of the map during battle and stuff, they could be revealed. It's only a small view radius like this, but it's still worth having. If you catch glimpses of enemy units moving, it's vital intel. But I sent 2 riflemen here to go and harass the enemy oil derrick, hopefully catch a lazy engineer or a lazy player, not escorting his engineer, I should say. But this player's he's not doing that. You know, his riflemen are ahead on all sides. Whichever direction that engineer goes is pretty well escorted. But we've got a 5 stack of rifles escorting the engineer, and he's going for this one over here, the same one I am. Did he capture his first? Now you see, look, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe he didn't even notice that, and I didn't realise. I'd have said if I had any idea that he didn't notice, because it's an oil derrick players should have, you know, as standard. You should have that income, it's only fair. And their engineer backed off in time. I had no idea he was there, so there's no pursuit. But I'm guarding my engineer. Got the first oil derrick in the centre under capture, so that's my 2nd oil derrick being taken. My opponent doesn't have any yet, but his engineer is on the way to this one. And he's got it guarded there, but my riflemen, you see, they can't see him, and I can't see them. So they don't know my rifleman's here. That's why you have to secure the area. We'll see what happens. See, you see, because the engineer might get closer than those riflemen. Let's just see, and I'm gathering my units here and engineer to go and take this when I've got enough. But let's just see what happens. No, no way near. And you can see that flashing, so I should be checking and seeing this and move him here to kill the engineer, but I just obviously wasn't aware. And then when that's captured, it'll reveal my rifleman, and they'll kill him. So, yeah. So my opponent has done well there. is turned back his engineer and from here, but he's gone and taken this one straight away. Now my opponent's got a ranger. They appear to favour a ranger for the first vehicle. And if I sent a lone engineer, he'd be chopped up by these guys. But I've got plenty here now with the scout vehicle for screening. I can just, yeah, my opponent's right to run. But I thought that scout vehicle's going around. He's going to try and catch my engineer. Look, it's hunting. Very sneaky, and I didn't know it's there. Look, I'm just trying to position units between me and where the ranger might be. Look at that. He's trying to find his way in. Very nippy, the old rangers. Well, he's well out of there. So I've huddled up back with my engineer, bundled my forces, and now it belongs to me, so the enemy won't see. They won't know which direction I'm going. Now it belongs to me. And I'm going straight for this oil derrick. Let's have a look at early army values. My opponent must be behind. 7,000 to me, 5,000 to my opponent. And they appear to like camo pillboxes. My rifleman took a shot, and here we go. We've got an engagement here as my opponent's taking my oil derrick on the other side, so I'm completely unaware of that. But my opponent's forces were split there. No problem. And you shouldn't approach this close because your opponent can see exactly what you've got where. And now they've captured this. And they've got the second MCV, so have I. Mine's idle, because I'm busy here, so I'm distracted. And there's my opponent's engineers going for the hospital. Now I've taken this oil derrick off them. My opponent's taken this one off me, so I've got two again, and they've got one, and they're about to take the hospital away. And there's my second engineer, MCV on its way. See where I've got my guard rifles on this map. You need one here as well in the bottom corner because players can move around the edge of the map this way past these rifle guards, you know. There's a few ways you can use an attack on this map because a central attack can come from this way, or you know, round here or here or here, and they can get there from the center of the map. But going around the edges, you know, they've got options on what to attack as they approach. It's you've got to make sure your rifle guards are everywhere they need to be. So I've noticed my opponent's retaking my oil derrick and hospital. But their army value is just not up to standard. They losing these early groups, small army groups. It's a killer. You know, you sometimes you just won't recover again. Not if you're against a competent opponent that's got a solid build order. You know, you won't get away with that. And here you see I'm staying away from the hospital. See, I've seen that tank now. But I'm staying away from the hospital, so my opponent hopefully won't know I've got all those forces there. So if he tries to rescue, you know, his hospital, or snipe the engineer, like there's a ranger, you see, now look at that. Now you see what I'm saying? That's why you leave your units out of view range of the oil derricks and hospitals while you're capturing them. That's a perfect example of why. And now my engineer is on his way to take this one again. So I have 2 oil derricks again. And the hospital. My opponent's got this one, but I'm moving forward to attack. I'm at 20,000 army value. My opponent's at 9.5. And I'm attacking here. I can see defences. And I'm aware my opponent must be out of position. So I'm thinking they must be attacking from this way. And I can see these units, look. But I'm bringing forward this MCV. And about now, I should be stopping it. And look, I'm attacking here. And I'm thinking, should I destroy the conyard? And now that, for some reason, it wouldn't deploy and then move forward a little bit. And I couldn't quite get it away in time. But it drew all my opponent's fire and meant they weren't shooting at my units. So I can survive that loss. A sacrifice. And I can see here that, you know, they're letting that die. That's That's a bad sign for your opponent. And he's bringing units, look, selling up, but that's... And there's another MCV there. Now, that's good, you see. I would set up here and start building here and getting my primary production here, sending the war factory and barracks, all their units over here to make a stand. Because if this is happening and I'm thinking, look, they're beaten, then I'm going to think they're beaten and attack and stuff and not expect a final stand here that could destroy my forces with defensive fighting and then level up, even up the game again, or at least give my opponent a chance. So this needs to, at least it's still active, that's a good sign, but it's the moment's a bit late now. These units should have been building from here and be over here safe, all these. You know, and I would be thinking, look, there's no units, nothing here, it's over, while my opponent is preparing to fight on. But in this case, they didn't. They sent everything to resist my attack. Which is fair enough, why not? You don't see the extent of your enemy's force always, so he might not have known the size of it. But there's the second game, there's the rematch for you. And that was on Trask map. I'll go through the graphs and charts for you, but yeah, my opponent was a bit further behind in that game. He didn't do quite as well. And there's the earnings graph, not too bad for that. And army graph, I've got 6 heavy tanks, engineer, 7 flamers, and basic amount of infantry, about the same again. 22,000 army value. My opponent lost 6 structures. I killed 117 units, my opponent killed 52, not very good that time, but it's about the same amount of kills for me. I destroyed 33,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets, my opponent destroyed 11,000 credits worth of mine. No support powers because it was a short game. Production, I'm building power plant and basics, but I did have my second war factory this time. I placed it here because I'd lost my build radius here, obviously losing my MCV. Economy, I've got 3 oil derricks because we were contesting the oil derricks for the entire game. 7 ore trucks. I earned 60 grand. My opponent earned 48. I've got 7 grand. My opponent's got a grand left. His basics. I was at 25 actions per minute. That's a bit slow for me. My opponent was at 30. There's our scores and stats, graphs and tabs. Everything for you. So I hope you enjoyed the 2 games. There was my first couple of games of the day, so hopefully I'm going to get some more games in and find something else to post. But for now, if you enjoyed those games, give us a sub and a like, and thank you very much. Take good care of yourselves, and goodbye.
Battle control terminated.